Pulling him back is like trying to hold back a 12-year-old boy constantly for an hour, tugging on a something. I looked it up. 12-year-old boys roughly average somewhere between 80 and 130 pounds, I think. And this guy's got to be close to 90. He's easily in his mid-80s. So today's reading, the Saugatuck Chronicles. Today's reading, easy. Today's, I'm going to focus on today's gospel, Matthew chapter, I believe 23 or 23, and it's the parable of the man being ready in the middle of the night when the thief comes, the rich man. And I believe it references the second coming, when Jesus returns, which I don't understand because if I'm not mistaken, Jesus is still there. Isn't that Jesus speaking before he dies? But it certainly references when each of us die, we're going to have an accounting in front of God, who's going to basically say, were you a good servant or were you a bad servant? Are you going to go gnash teeth or welcome, come in, my good and faithful servant? And we all want to be ready when we die, and none of us know when exactly we're going to die. Most of us don't have a clue. So we need to be ready. And how's the pond doing? Oh, butterfly was in it. I still don't see any frogs, which I think is appropriate, this reading for today in my family's life, because my aunt, our last remaining aunt, died, and I'm not mentioning her name because I didn't ask if I could. So, anyway, my aunt died, and I'm hoping she was ready. She was quite old, so I'm sure she was ready. And yeah, so we all want to be ready when our time comes. And now I've lost my train of thought. So, yep. So, always be walking towards God, as I've said. Make your decisions in what will please God, and you'll be ready when your time comes. Because each of us that's inescapable. Each one of us is going to have that moment. Gosh, stop pulling. When we come face to face with Jesus. And finally, when someone dies, we want to pray for them. As Catholics, we believe that if you're not in heaven already, where you don't need our prayers, if you're in hell, where our prayers aren't going to do any good, if you read your Bible even, for those of you who think that's the only important thing, it's very clear in the Bible that people were asked to pray for dead people. And so therefore there must be some reason that the prayer is going to have some good use. And that would be what we would understand as purgatory, a place where you're purging your last few things that keep you from God. Not a major sin which would have given you death, not a mortal sin I should say, but I would assume venial sins, and any inclination to sin. So, as a Catholic, I'm taught to pray for the dead, and I will be praying for my aunt, as I already prayed for all my aunts and uncles, and my mother, my father, my brother, one of my nieces who passed very young and shouldn't have, my mother-in-law, so who we're having a mass said for my mother-in-law just this weekend, or her family, having a mass said for my mother-in-law, who also passed some years ago. So pray for the dead. And here's a parting thought. Some people say, are you following all the commandments? And someone might say, well, my mother and father are passed, if you're older, so I don't have to worry about that one. I don't have to honor my mother and father. Well, yes, you do. You need to pray for them, because that's the only thing, that's the main thing they need from you right now. is your assumption that your prayers are helping them. Don't assume that the prayers won't matter. Assume that they need your help now, and honor your father and mother.